Hey, this is Robert Monroe from Monroe Magic, and I want to talk Commander and the casualization of Magic, and is that actually a good thing? So here's the deal. We have all of these amazing Commander decks. We have the Commander format. Why do people like Commander? Well, a lot of times it's summed up as being a Timmy or doing the thing. And what that refers to is so much of the fun of Magic is coming up with some absurd concept or cosplaying or doing something out of control and ridiculous. And Commander is the format best to allow for the variety and the fun that can come from just trying a zany idea and making it happen, right? With Commander, your commander's out all the time, so you have your key piece always ready to go. You also have a life total that allows you to get to that point. You have a free-for-all environment, meaning that you may get the amount of time necessary to get to that point. And it's casual, so people are going to be more willing to be like, you go ahead, do the thing. But here's the big problem, and I'll put it this way, it's the Skyrim problem of difficulty. What do I mean by this? Let's contrast two different styles of game. Let's compare Skyrim to Dark Souls. The cool thing about Skyrim is you basically get to do whatever you want. If you want, you can just run yourself into a wall sneaking until you get to the point where your sneak score is so high that you can just be invisible all the time and then shoot one arrow and kill people immediately. And that's how you can play the whole game. You can break the game so many different ways, and then if you're tired of breaking the game that way, you can respec and break the game some other way. What this leads to is not really an actual difficulty curve at all in the game of Skyrim. Yes, there are elements of Skyrim that are difficult, but ultimately the gameplay really comes down to just finding out which way you want to break the game. If we compare that to Dark Souls, the game is actually always quite challenging. Why? Because if you get hit, if all of these technical elements don't go the way you want, you're just gonna die. Execution is very hard. Understanding the strategy behind it is very hard, making for a very challenging game. But you might not get the fun of just coming up with any specific way to do it. The limitations create an environment where you actually get a much higher reward from actually completing it. To level 1 Dark Souls is quite an accomplishment because it is a challenging game to begin with, and then when you do something challenging on top of that, it can allow for that. So why am I bringing all this up between Skyrim and Dark Souls? The Skyrim players are the ones that generally would love the Commander format because it's really about just exploring and having that space to have fun and engage. But the Dark Souls mindset goes, hey, maybe we want a little more challenge. And this is where having higher difficulty, not necessarily not Commander, but things where people are playing all out. And what happens is if you're playing all out, then I can play all out and that uncertainty's gone, and we basically get to be as aggressive as possible. Then it actually starts to become easier to predict what's going to happen next. One of the weird things about casual is it's hard to actually know what's going to happen next, because if I know that you're going to play your best thing every time, then I see 2 mana out and I go, okay, you probably have a counter spell, so I'm going to have to do some strategy. If instead you've got 2 mana out and it's casual format, are you going to play your counter spell or not? Do you even have a counter spell? Does your deck even play counter spells or removal? These are all things that create weird bugs in the system, if you will. So I'm not quite sure that casual is all the fun that people crack it out to be. And this may be my own personal preferences, but I do think we need to have a serious conversation as to why we want to be casual. I think a lot of people think that the most fun is going to be the arcade mode where all the quarters are free and we just do whatever. But anybody who knows realizes you want consequences. You want to be able to hit the game over screen. You want to be able to try again because that raises the stakes. It actually makes you a better player. It makes you have to do grown-up decisions as to what cards go in your deck. And it all gives more meaning to crafting a strategy that actually matters. Do you agree? Do you think we've gotten too casual? Do you think there's something beneficial from being really aggressive and being competitive and making always the best decisions for what's going to make you win? Let me know. I'm Robert Monroe, and this has been Monroe Magic. Until next time, peace out.